Bam! What is up with the squad? It's your favorite auntie local tendencies in the building with political Lil. Y'all know what it is. We are here with our disruptor series, breaking barriers. Women in sports, black women in sports, especially in white male dominated sports. That's going to be our conversation today. Lil, what is happening?
Howdy doody, how's it going? Always politics. Every
You
act
always
is a
politics.
political act.
Every act is a
Remember that.
political act. Absolutely. It's Black History Month. And so we bring y'all a live podcast that revisits four of our powerful recorded discussions that we've had about black women breaking barriers in different sports, right? So NASCAR, horse racing, and equestrian sports, golf, and a historical look at black women in the Negro Baseball League because they couldn't play in that league that we saw in the league of their own. They were not welcome in
Yeah,
that
they was
league. So
turned down even for the women's league.
yeah, they
Like
said
what?
yeah, not y'all can't play. So we're gonna just talk. We're gonna just kind of talk back through those recordings. Get y'all feelings about them. Give me 1 second. I see that Instagram is being weird. Fix that. So we appreciate y'all coming and hanging out with us. But let's jump into it. These episodes have been like I think some of the most eye opening conversations I think we've had for me, especially because like I had no idea that there were black women in NASCAR at all. Um, Horse racing a little bit from being in Kentucky, but not really. And then golf, you just shout out to you because of the research that you do and the information that you put out here has just really blown my mind with some of the stuff that we've been able to learn um about these women. Um, I mean, we've highlighted the trailblazing contributions of these women, the roadblocks they faced, why their fight for inclusion still matters right now, right? Um, so we're gonna break it all down. We're gonna talk about the history, the key figures, the common challenges that they face across all four sports, and most importantly, we're going to talk about why their fight, isn't just about them; it's about opening doors for future generations. So, let's start it off with NASCAR because we all know stock car racing has deep roots in the South, right? And for the longest time, it's been a white male dominated sport, but that hasn't stopped some incredible black women from making their mark. What's up,
Exactly.
Nori?
And while NASCAR has made some progress, it's still a serious lack of diversity, especially for black women who trying to, break in. Because the road to set, to them being successful, it's just not about, whether they can drive. It's about getting the right training, sponsorship, and overcoming some deep seated resistance from these fans and, of course, some of the drivers themselves and the whole infrastructure. That was a Confederate flag waving group, so to speak. And
Mm-hmm.
they were not real, welcoming, if you will, to black women getting in sport. But we're making some small strides. You
I
know,
mean, shoot, you say right training, sponsorship, overcoming some deep seated resistance. Shoot, just even knowing that the opportunities are out there, right? Like
right?
just
We
even
don't.
knowing that
They don't have an
even just
education
knowing that
system,
they
right?
exist.
Yeah.
I had no idea. No idea. So one of the trailblazers that we got to shout out is Brianna Daniels, and she made history as the first black woman to work as a NASCAR pit crew member. So I mean, like she's out there changing the tires and fueling up the cars, at lightning speed, faster. I think about. I'll be looking at them how zoop 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 zoop. They jump out, put that gas. I think about. I take my time strolling in the gas station, get in my little couple dollars to put it in the tank. So she's out there doing this stuff at lightning speed in the sport that I don't think ever expected to see a black woman on the crew, and I think at one point there was even an all black female crew. So, um, yeah, I mean, shout out Brianna Daniels.
Yeah, she was a former basketball player. I believe she played at Norfolk State, and she's taking her athletic skills to the pit. I was just shocked at the amount of speed, agility, and concentration, because it's extremely dangerous. A tire come off the wrong way. A tool could hit you. The lifts that they use could pinch you. It's all kind of dangers abound. With cars going at that speed, you can't be in a pit no more than a few seconds if you expect to be, running at the top of the race. So, uh,
Absolutely.
for her to
One one false
demonstrate
move.
that, demonstrate her ability, and then for someone to give her a chance, I thought was pretty, pretty fascinating.
Oh, absolutely.
And then there's
Absolutely.
Tia Norfleet, who became the first black woman who was licensed to compete at NASCAR. And of
Okay.
course, her journey had to be full of challenges, but just her presence alone is a statement in itself, because she had to fight for sponsorship and opportunities, in ways that her white male drivers, they don't have to think about that. They're allowed in those corporate rooms, to present, uh, you know, what they could do in terms of return on investment for these sponsors. Most cases, if you're not led by a white agent, you just can't float in the room, talking about what you could do, especially as a black female. So, I definitely give kudos to her.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, that I think one of the biggest issues is the sponsorship and the funding, right? Once you prove that you can do it, right, you still have to be able to get the sponsorship and the funding to be able to compete. And NASCAR especially is not just about your skill. It's also about like who back you, right? Because NASCAR, they got all them stickers and stuff all over them cars, all that brand advertisement and corporate sponsorship. Black women in this sport struggle to get that kind of funding. Um, compared to what their white counterparts receive. So that lack of access to just the elite training programs, add in the lack of the that lack of access to the elite training programs, the sponsorships, and it's like they fighting uphill battle before they even can get on the track. So just shout out to them for having the courage to get up and fight to be out there, and then to unless you really just into that sport to be kind of really like unrecognized as walking pieces of walking pieces of black history, but also just as successful parts of those of their respective sports has to be challenging every day.
Right. And another amazing thing is Melissa Harville LeBron. She and her sons comprise a racing team. She's the first black woman of NASCAR to actually own a team.
Hmm.
And then you have another young lady that's Dr. Dr. Siegel. She's part part owner. Her and her husband own a team.
Hmm.
She's also and she's one of the first African American women to co-own a NASCAR racing team. But she has a dental practice, and of
Right.
course, the other young lady, Melissa, she was in the entertainment business, and she
Hmm.
parlayed what she made in the entertainment business to finance this team. So that's something that's real exciting, to hear about. Even though you don't hear about it that often, I found it quite amazing in the research. That and then some of the women, might I add, they look like they could be fashion models. I don't know if it's the gear that they wear in the in NASCAR, but I'm looking like they need to be in somebody magazine. I mean, some of them really have some stylish personas and look nice.
I mean, their face card is not getting declined. Their face card is not getting declined. I
Yeah.
mean, they definitely are. They definitely have appear to be very photogenic. They appear to be very marketable, right? Like they should
Hmm.
be attached to some brands that where they can help they can help each other grow. So I'm surprised that we don't see more of them out there. but hopefully, as they continue to grow in their respective sports, and we see more black females enter these sports, maybe we'll see sponsorships seeming deeming them worthy of sponsorships, but also being just like partners in marketing
Mm-hmm.
campaigns. So um, yeah, I don't know, and I guess I don't know where we would see them marketed at, like where we would learn about them at,
Well,
right? We don't.
in Chicago, they made a concerted effort. Now we just getting NASCAR. That
Hmm.
wasn't something that was common to Chicago, and they raced downtown, beautiful racing track. But they made a concerted effort through our public school system and our park district to
Hmm.
come out and set up and introduce our children to NASCAR. And
Oh,
I
that's
thought
dope.
that was outstanding. They had some of I think Bubba and the young lady that's on the pit crew. They came
Hmm.
out and the kids got to meet them, and and so in Chicago, there's an excitement for them to come back, and they did it as soon as they came into the city. So next year they got something, well, this summer coming up, which will be their second year, they got something, big planned. And I think that's the way you have to, try to diversify your sport, and bring in other eyes. I mean, NASCAR is huge; it has a large fan base, but it certainly doesn't hurt to expand and add more.
Hmm. I mean, and you can earn a nice living in NASCAR, and you don't necessarily
Mhm.
have to be a driver. I mean, there's NASCAR officials, there's the pit crew, there's the people that do the marketing, there's the merchandise. Like, there's a whole world in all of these sports. Where they probably have lawyers. They need all kind of different uh you know for different types of professionals, right, to be able to make the specific these individual leagues work. So, be aware. Take a look at the opportunities there. We don't always have to look at the ones that are always in our face or the ones that are always so common. You don't, NBA, MLB, NFL, NHL too, but we don't talk about that as much. But there are some, definitely some black men that play professional hockey. So, what's up, Emily? What's up, Nori? Um, so I know that these women have faced a lot of challenges. But can you talk a little bit maybe about like the industry resistance maybe that they receive? Um,
Well, I know for NASCAR, like I said, they had a large fan base of conservative, and
mhm,
because the sport was so exclusive for so many years, you just if you saw a black, you might have thought they was polishing a car or something. I don't really know the attitude,
mhm,
but I remember when blacks first started to you know try to support the sport. It was just met with negativity, and then
mhm,
at some point there was an issue where they wanted them to take these Confederate flags down, and that turned into a big to do, and you know uh,
mhm.
once again you facing this is our thing exclusively, and that type of thing. So,
Yeah,
but
I mean, and
go ahead.
and I guess there was that thing where I know it was within a few years. Bubba, um, it was a rope hanging.
Bubba in the news.
Yes, and then was it the noose? Was it a rope? They went back and forth about that. It wasn't tied like a noose. It was just a rope somebody left hang. Either way, it just was. It was just. It was distasteful, in the
Yes.
least, to say the least. It was very distasteful. For whatever happened there. It was the only. Supposedly, this was the only. Um, you know, I guess garage that had that. The rope or the noose in there. Um, but I just think that despite all of the different challenges, these women continue to push forward and show that NASCAR isn't just like for one type of person, right? It's for
Hmm.
people with many different types of walks of life, and they're opening doors and proving that Black women belong in the world of motorsports. And so, I think that's what this conversation is really all about. Just more like breaking barriers and making a space where we've been told that we don't belong, or not or not even celebrated, in spaces
Mm-hmm.
that we are in. So uh, yeah, definitely just about the breaking of barriers, and making that space in these places. Um, and I don't know. I guess, like you said, with the NASCAR coming into the city, and introducing the kids right away to it. But I guess it is going to be about not only supporting and uplifting the women, but being able to push forward and grow um, the young black women, and men, that are in these sports.
I'm, my hope is that the current political climate, will not interfere with the progress that the sport has made.
Oh yeah,
Because
yeah.
sometimes a political climate can come in, and it could shift, uh, sports. Kind of
Oh,
reminds
absolutely.
me of, you just had a black quarterback winning an NFL, and now they want to ban the tush push. You know,
Yeah, I heard that. They said like a unnamed team wants
right?
to
Well,
has asked to bash
yeah,
to ban the tush push.
it might not even been a team, but it's just some powers to be. Some people are just sore losers, and when you come up with some, creative, that they think, you know, gives you an edge, then that's what they do. They run and change the rules. Something. A lot of people
Oh,
are upset
absolutely.
about it, but those are kind of discrepancies that black athletes have to face. You know,
Oh yeah, absolutely. And
but
and now NASCAR surprised me, but here's another one that really, I mean, when we got into how involved we are, was the black women in equestrian sports. The horse racing, the dresses, the show jumping, whatever it is, these have long been associated with wealth and exclusivity. So I didn't think it was any of us over there, right, being jockeys and stuff. Still, now, sure enough, if you go to Churchill Downs in Louisville, right, the home of the Kentucky Derby, there is a historical room within Churchill Downs where they have like all these little different little figurines of past jockeys who won. Um, and I was really surprised at the number of black men who were winners as jockeys very, very early in the racing. But this was, of course, still during slavery times. Some of them even were boys, because you had to be of a certain stature really to be able to be successful, to be able to jockey the horse, right? Because you didn't want
hmm
to be too heavy when you racing the horses. So that blew my mind. But to find out that there were women um, in equestrian sports, Lil, you never cease to amaze me. You never cease to amaze me, because let's be real. Black riders have either been erased from history or straight up blocked from major competitions, right?
hmm
So um, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, horse racing is such a such a expensive sport. I mean, it sometimes costs $50,000 a year just to take care of a horse. Uh,
Should you got
you
to
know,
buy the horse first? You got to get the
well,
horse first. I'm like,
that could be millions of
you,
millions of
you see what
dollars.
I'm saying? Depending on what lineage you wanted to come from. If you want you a secretariat or something, you got to get the horse first, and then 50,000 to feed it. I mean, okay, yeah, okay, come on, I'm keeping tabs.
And
What else you
so
got?
is you got to have generational wealth almost,
Hmm.
and certainly sponsorship. Because just owning and training a horse, that's extremely expensive. But I was just shocked to know that blacks owned farmland in places like Virginia, and even in Illinois. I was kind of shocked. We do have a large rural base in
Hmm.
Illinois as well, and they out there riding and having relationships with the horses and different things like that. But you still have that structural bias and that racism that keeps you from being able to fairly compete, and so you always have to push your way in and prove yourself, and it's the same thing. Always having to overcome some barrier. Because
Oh,
they want certain sports to be exclusive because it's supposed to be, I guess, a representation of their wealth and their status in
mhm.
the society. And so, if we supposed to be tethered to the bottom, then it's just something they don't want to see, or they think that it diminishes, who they are, and we just competitors,
Mhm.
who looking for opportunity to compete.
I mean, it's definitely a privileged type sport. It's definitely a privileged type sport. So when I lived in Louisville, I did security at Churchill Downs, right? And so one thing I got an opportunity to do was experience the Kentucky Derby, like right there, right, the big race.
Hmm.
Nothing like it. When they say the most exhilarating 2 minutes in sports, the most exhilarating 2 minutes in sports. Never felt anything like that energy. It was crazy as the horses get closer. They come around that final turn. You could just feel. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of hope in the air. It's a lot of hope in the air.
A lot of
Then
talent there.
it's a lot of hope in the air. Who? But the all the air gets sucked out the room if the wrong horse hit. You understand? I mean, it's the agony of defeat right away. It's the agony of defeat
Hmm.
right away. So I got to do it a couple of years. I saw Millionaires Row. I experienced it from the center, right there in the center, and then also just in the stands. But just being at Churchill Downs, and you think about the privilege, they would do some. They would also do night races at the Downs, right?
Hmm.
And night races at the Downs, during the regular races, that's when the big wigs is out, especially like Kentucky Derby. The who's who of everything is out. But at nighttime is when you get to see like the young privilege out, right? So
Mm.
these are the kids of the people who have the boxes and this generational wealth. And I was just amazed. I was amazed at just how exclusive it was. It was not. It wasn't many of us at night at nights at the Downs. You hear me? Um, even as far back as like in the last 10 to 15 years, just not a lot of us at the Downs. Still a very exclusive. Even for the race, people in Louisville would get more excited about Thunder over Louisville. Thunder over Louisville was like the 2 weeks leading up to the race. So
Hmm.
Thunder would happen, and people, because everybody would come to town and they would be getting ready for the races, and then the millionaires are coming, and at one point, Michael Jordan would be there, and Oprah would be there, and the who's who of all these people would be there. And you got parties going on in the city, but even in the city, um, a lot of the black population, they party for the Derby, but they don't go to the Derby. They don't go to the
Hmm.
Derby. There's different parties going on within the city and different things that they're doing. Where they have outside parties at their own homes and stuff, where it's a big deal for the Derby, but they don't necessarily go down to Churchill Downs for the Derby. Still very, very exclusive. Um, but definitely we can see that you know black women have some incredible black women have left their mark in breaking into the sport, even though it's not reflective yet in the people that are enjoying the sport, right?
Hmm.
And no one, I don't think, embodies that fight better than Cheryl White. So it's 1971 at just 17 years old. She became the first licensed black female jockey in U.S. history. And think about that. Black men have been jockeys back in the early days of horse racing, like I said, but black women, they wouldn't even given a chance. It was 71, and she was 17. But what do you know about Cheryl White?
Well, Cheryl wasn't just breaking barriers; she was a winner. She rode her first professional race at Cleveland Tinseldown Race Course and won on her very first mount. And then over her career, she rode over 1,400 races and proved that black women belonged in the sport. But when it comes down to, did she get recognition? Should she have become a household word? Absolutely, but that didn't happen. You know.
Of course not. Of course not. She had discrimination at every turn, right? She got lower. You get the lower quality horse, like you got the slow horse. They're gonna give you the slow horse. Probably ain't eight goods, the sick horse. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You know how they do. Being she got overlooked for opportunities. Had to, she just had. every time. She had to constantly she had to prove herself and then reprove herself, in ways her white male counterparts just didn't have to. But she continued to pave the way for future generations.
Right, and,
Uh,
and then you
this
had you
female
had
image woman.
Khadijah Mahala. She
Mhm,
made history, as early as recently, 2019, because she was the first British Muslim woman to win a horse race. Um,
mm,
but if I hadn't researched, I would never heard of her. And
mhm,
she showed that the world of equestrian sports belongs to everyone.
mhm.
You know, then we got Erwin Brown. She's better known as the concrete cowgirl.
Okay.
She's been an outspoken advocate for Black equestrians, and she's of
Okay.
course helping to preserve the history of Black urban riders and creating opportunities for young Black kids to get involved with horses as well. Horses. I rode quite a few horses coming up, of course, with somebody on them, but they were so such a large animal. Uh, I wish I had been exposed to it earlier.
Mhm.
I was already adult by the time I came in contact with not just seeing the races, but actually being around a horse farm and that type of thing. So these women face real challenges. There's big time racism in the equestrian world, and it's an industry where connections matter. So if you're
Oh
Black,
yeah, you gotta be connected.
yeah, it's much harder to get access to the best training facilities or the elite competition because they just have ways of keeping you even out the game. You know, but we we still got women pushing through.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the cost too. Like you were saying, you were talking about $50,000 to feed a horse. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars just to be able to compete. Like we complain about AAU fees. Like this is, you got, I got the dress the jockey. You got then there's the trainer, and then there's the horse, and then there's the caretaker, and then you got to feed the horse and feed everybody when they on the job. Just
And then
all of these different things. You got
transportation, even moving the
transport
horse.
the horse. Transport the horse. If you don't have your own farm, you gotta be able to. There's this, where's the horse live. So you're storing the horse, all of that, and without major sponsorships, again, like NASCAR or Family Wealth, it's nearly impossible to break into this sport, let alone compete at the highest levels, right?
Hmm. Yeah, you have to be
Um,
wealthy and well connected. But these ladies pushing through, is good for the next generation of Black riders because we have young ladies that still, especially in the some of the the jumping sports. We had two ladies, I believe, represented us in the in the Olympics. With those competing like that. So we trying to make moves, and that's the
oh,
most important.
absolutely.
But we need that media exposure.
Oh, you gotta have
Media
the media
coverage
exposure.
that's a huge issue.
So
We're not
y'all,
we're not getting attention.
for these names that we calling out right now, like Brianna Daniels and all of them, follow their pages.
Hmm.
Push their stories. For those young women in NASCAR, in equestrian sports. You like push their names. Let me see here. What's up, Kia? What's up, Johnny? I appreciate y'all pulling up. Nori, I'm enjoying the show. So, thank you so much. There's an equestrian team in Delaware State. I didn't know that. Thank you, Tamika.
Yeah.
I think Peanut is one of the women on the thumbnail. I know how I take my medicine. I don't exactly remember what the thumbnail looked like right now, but I think I did put Peanut on there. Uh, I think it was Johnson, but I'm not sure. She played baseball. Yeah.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah. Brianna Daniels, NASCAR tire changer in the photo. Yeah. So I was surprised to even know that Panama Queen that she was out there. I had no idea. And then I saw a picture of just an all black female pit crew. I mean, it's just there's nothing that a woman can't do. There's nothing that a black woman can't do. But we always seem to be like I was saying earlier, having to prove and reprove, or be three times as good, or be seven steps ahead. Always having to work a little bit harder. And never getting the credit, like never getting the break, never getting the you know. and I hate to take it back to like I hate to take it back to my Gamecocks, but you go undefeated and then they tell you you're not good enough. What else?
Mm-hmm.
How do I prove? How do I improve on perfect? How do I
Mm-hmm.
improve on perfect? How do I be? How can I be more perfect? Right? But this is the standard that they're asking the South Carolina Gamecocks to live up to. Be better than perfect. Well, what is that? What is that? And only 10 people have been able to be perfect. Only 10, only
Mm-hmm.
10 team, only I should say only 10 undefeated seasons have happened. And I think that's only across 2 or 3 programs. I think Stanford got one.
Baylor got one.
Tennessee, Tennessee got 1 or 2. Uh,
Baylor and I think
Gino
Notre Dame.
Baylor, I think maybe Baylor. Gino got him a couple. Because I think he went like 99. So, he went something
Like
crazy
three
at
years
home
when
for
he got it.
sure.
Yeah.
Yes, so I mean, but now in order for us to acknowledge you as being good, as being it just it, in order for us to acknowledge you as being good, you have to be better than perfect. What is that? Oh, you exceed the standard, then they move the goalposts.
Mm-hmm.
We just keep knocking down goalposts. We keep hitting bullseyes and just play the game. It's crazy. And that's the thing, and that's the point. They're still writing, right? When you think about these equestrian women, they're still pushing forward. They're still proving that equestrian sports shouldn't just be for the wealthy and well connected. Um, and the more we support and amplify their stories, the more doors we can open for the next generation of Black riders. So, um, the fight isn't just about them; it's about opening up. The equestrian sports, NASCAR, all these sports, open them all up and let's let everybody compete on a level playing field. Um, we belong. So
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about the fairway. Let's step onto the fairway to talk about a sport that has been historically elite, exclusionary, and expensive. Right? Golf. Black players, uh, you discouraged from participating, explicitly banned from many country clubs and professional tournaments. Right? Uh, I think the LPGA had a Caucasian only clause until 1961. Think about that. Till 1961.
That's in our
I didn't,
lifetime.
not my lifetime, but kind of close enough. Close enough. Close enough. But within people that people that within my mom's lifetime for sure. That means that Black women who wanted to play professionally weren't just dealing with bias; they were dealing with flat out just exclusion. Like, no, you can't. You can't
Mm-hmm.
for
And
no good reason other than you're Black.
yeah, the exclusion, that has consequence.
Hmm.
Consequence without access to the top tier coaching, courses, and funding. Black women had to work, 10 times harder just to step on the same greens as their white counterparts. But despite these barriers, some incredible black women emerged because they refused to be left out of the game.
I mean, and it was crazy because they could be working at the country club and working, and they men could be working on the greens, but you better not try to play on. It's a just still a really hard. That's hard for me to fathom. Like people
Mm-hmm.
say stuff like I was born in the right decade. I was because I don't know. They'd got me, y'all. They'd got me. Y'all know my mouth. They'd got me. I'd have been in trouble all the time. Me, I'd have been in trouble. I'd have been in trouble. I'd have been in trouble. Okay, I'm just letting y'all know. Um, but let's start with Renee Powell. She was the second Black woman to play on the LPGA tour, and I mean she pretty much dedicated her life to making golf more accessible. She faced discrimination at every tournament, but became a pioneer in teaching and mentoring young Black golfers.
Yep, and then we have Ann Gregory, a woman who deserves way more recognition. With over 300 tournament wins, she proved time and time again that black women could not only compete, but they could actually dominate. But she fought through racist restrictions just to enter tournament, and still came out on top.
And we can't forget about Althea Gibson. This is the one that blew my mind right here because I knew that Althea was just something else on the tennis court, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea that she was a two sport athlete. Okay, they didn't teach me that part. Two sport athlete. Most people don't know. Uh, they know her as a tennis legend, but after she broke barriers, she said, "Why stop in one sport?" In the '50s, she became the first Black woman to play in the LPGA, And just like in tennis, she faced racism, exclusion, and hostility, but she still paved the way. So she went and just like broke barriers on two. She was like, you know what? I got time today. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and knock tennis and golf down. You know what I'm saying? Open these sports up. You know what I'm saying? I'm coming here tearing
Original
stuff up.
double
So
double queen.
you know what I mean? Double Queen came in there like, you know what? I got time today. You know what? Pull up at the tennis courts. Let me show them something. We done here. Take me by the golf green so I can show them something. So salute to Althea Gibson. I had no idea. I already knew she was a bad sister, but just to be like, you know what? Normally I don't do this, but I'm gonna go ahead and just be a total disruptor on another pro sport. So shout out to her for continuing to pave the way for the next generation.
Yep, and right now we got to talk about Mariah Stackhouse.
Yeah,
She's
Stackhouse.
she's one of the current and few full-time black players on the PGA Tour. And she's been vocal about the need for more diversity in golf. But she's, proven black women belong in the sport, and not just as players, but as leaders and influencers. So
Yeah.
I know what she's facing. The only black anything. Ooh, no
Oh yeah.
telling.
I mean, you got groups like City Girls of Golf, and that's a new generation of black women making waves in the golf world. They're bringing like style, the culture, representation to the game, showing the golf doesn't have to be stuffy or exclusive or just the old boys club. I love to see Stackhouse. I think I saw out doing some stuff like Steph Curry because Steph
Mm-hmm.
thinks that he's a professional golfer in his other life or something. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. Steph is always on the golf course. But shout out to Steph because I see him trying to help break barriers and help young black women break barriers in areas that interest them. So I saw him really working with her to try to still help bring some eyes on
And
on on,
he
on what they're doing.
he put up like $6 million to HBCU so that they could have golf programs. He's sponsoring.
Oh, okay.
He's in like a 10-year deal with several HBCUs, and he's sponsoring both the men's and women's program. And I thought that was fabulous.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
I love oh young Steppin
yeah.
Wardell. He does he goes tremendously above and beyond
Mm-hmm.
to really try to put eyes on things that are important to him. And he really does keep girls and black girls in the forefront of a lot of stuff that he does.
And let me
Um,
say this right quick now.
mhm,
Some of the real challenges you face in golf, it really have to do with that racism at the country club.
mhm.
And that's what most of the golf courses are associated with. Some are just unwelcoming. Some of them, used to ban black golfers. And even today, you still kind of struggle with access to elite courses in the training facility. I mean, I recently went on the golf course over the summer. I felt really out of place because
Mhm.
I'm a military veteran, and we have a program where they take us all out to play golf at some of the most exclusive clubs in Illinois. You still got people twisting up their face or scratching their head when they they see you out there, man. I wasn't dressed to, like I was a golfer, but I still felt like, oh goodness, I'm kind of out here, and around
Well,
that
shoot,
environment. So it's it.
Leo, I,
Mhm.
I ain't never even been on the golf course. I only played on Tiger Woods golf, and I was uncomfortable at the greens on the game. I didn't know you
Yeah,
can't.
I went to see
You're
Tiger
quiet.
Woods. And I was on the golf course, looking back and forth, like, damn, I out of place. I got a pass
and
or
and
something.
and I so and we did security at the at the at Pebble Beach in 2000 for the
Mhm.
championship. Tiger won on the 18th hole. My grandfather got a chance to take a picture with him at the
Oh
18th,
wow.
right? Um, historical moment, big deal, big deal to be able to see him go out there as a black man there and take that picture with him,
Mm-hmm.
and be a part of that. But you think about like they play it, they be like, the Masters at Augusta National, right? Augusta
Mm-hmm.
National just Augusta National just desegregated in like 1990. Like they just allowed black golfers in like 1990. It ain't like we've been welcomed just forever. Like late in my late in my life, later in my life, I should say. They opened that up, but it's just amazing. It's just amazing that in 2025, um, some of these sports are still so segregated, right? And a lot of it is the money problem, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
golf's expensive. So from the coaching to the equipment to tournament fees to traveling to the tournament to laying your head down someplace at the tournament, eating on the road, all of that stuff that you have to do without the sponsorships and financial backing, that's hard to break in. It's hard to break in, and guess what? Sponsors ain't exactly lining up to invest in black women golfers. Let me
Yep.
see here. Mondo is saying start your kids young. I was just at a course recently and saw a few young black children, but Asians were the dominant number. Okay. Very true, Lil. So many golf clubs reek with privilege and power. Oh, yeah. And Mondo said, I'm in the course with my East Side gear on proudly. Well, I can imagine how you're at the course. I can imagine. Mondo, I could just see you out there with your golf cart. Yeah, I
but
could.
you know what? But it's also the media
Okay.
erasure.
Let's
You
talk
know,
about it. Okay.
they don't talk about golf. You know, they love to highlight the same names over and over, and it's not us. And
Mm-hmm.
then they don't. I can't recall the media celebration of a black woman in the sport. Even Athea Gibson. Hurry up and mention her. But not long enough for it to stick with you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that's a common problem across a lot of things is that we don't have the media to promote our own uh, that's been decimated over the years, but you know we don't have our own corner to celebrate anything, and they making
Yeah,
sure that
me. We ain't even got a Black History Month no more. Walk around here February, the month formerly known as. You hear me? They
right,
around here like the month formerly known as. I'm like, my
right,
goodness
because they
gracious.
encroach on everything we do.
Oh
We
man.
decide to do something to uplift black excellence, and because they had the power to do so, they got to do it at the same time. They just will not let you have a moment. All the
Mm-hmm.
time they want to get in on what you got going on, but at the same time they don't want to turn around and they want to kill any diversity that could benefit you. So that's really
Oh yeah. I'm sure you have your martini out there. And black women can do the same in golf as they have done in tennis. It's a matter of time and access for sure. Um, because despite all of that, they continue to push forward. From pioneers like Renee Powell and Ann Gregory to Mariah Stackhouse. Who I mean, y'all check young Stackhouse out now. Check Stackhouse out. They're proving that golf is for everybody, and the more we support them, the more we help open doors for the next generation. Check out some of these HBCU golf programs that Steph is supporting. I know Alabama State at one time had my HBCU had a pretty good golf program and a pretty good tennis program. So
Mhm.
we are out there playing these sports, and we are out there using these sports to get to higher education. But we can take them to the next level too.
Yep, we got to change the narrative. Black women belong on the golf course, in the clubhouse, and on the leaderboard. And the
Hmm.
fight isn't just about playing; it's about claiming space, building legacy, and making sure that the future of golf looks a whole lot more diverse and inclusive.
Exactly, exactly. I want to just circle back to the HBCUs real quick because they played a crucial role in expanding the access for Black athletes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Including Black women. So with this some limited opportunities at some PWIs and country clubs, but for the most part, it's the HBCUs that are providing that pathway for the talented Black golfers to try to compete at least at the collegiate level. So that's like Howard, North Carolina, A&T. I called out my HBCU, Alabama State. But I need to give these other HBCUs some love, or they'll say I'm biased. I am. Very few A&M. I'm gonna say Alabama State again, but I mean, have really invested in golf programs, scholarships, training, exposure that a lot of black athletes wouldn't otherwise receive. So they might not only help develop for the next generation of black golfers, but also challenging the barriers in the ways that in the ways that they can, that have historically kept, just that have usually kept the sport exclusive. So I think through growing partnerships and corporate sponsorships back in some HBCU golf, more black women will get an opportunity to train and compete and pursue professional careers in that sport. So, all right, y'all, we stepping up to the plate to talk about black women in baseball. Let me tell y'all something. A League of Their Own was one of my favorite movies, and it still is. Okay, it still is from just what women were able to do in baseball. But when I realized what the point of that, there's a segment in the movie, if you've seen it, where the ball roll out on the field and there's some sisters standing to look like they want to play baseball too, right? And she pick it up and the lady like, here, throw it right here, and she threw it way over her head to the pitcher, and they like, oh, it didn't register with me that what they were showing me right then was that there were black women who were able to play and capable of playing, but weren't allowed to play. So if you've seen the movie, then the war started. They wanted to keep baseball going, and they let the women come play. But when the black women came to play, they said, "Nah, no, thank you. We're not gonna have y'all." I had no idea. I had no idea. No idea. That's how it went. So, what did they do? What did the black women do? And this is a sport that calls itself America's pastime. Let's spit most of the history shutting the black people out. We Jackie Robinson, we learned about. He broke the color barrier in '47, but the black women who love the game. Lil, tell us about they opportunities.
Well, they barely had any, but and even in the Negro leagues, where black men were forced to play before integration, black women, they were rarely given a shot in that. If they wanted to play, they either had to compete against men or settle for softball because baseball, quote unquote, wasn't for them. But as always, they refused to be left out.
So let's start. The first one we got to talk about is Toni Stone. She was a straight up trailblazer. Okay, first woman to ever play professional baseball in a men's league. You heard me. Pro player in the men's league. I told y'all the women's league told them no. They was like, okay, we're gonna go see what they talking about over here. In the 1950s, she played for the Indianapolis Clowns in the Negro Leagues. She knows she replaced. I'm gonna tell y'all because I know y'all know this name. She replaced Hammerin' Hank Aaron when he left for the MLB. Imagine that, filling Hank Aaron's spot in the men's league. Y'all hear me? Do y'all hear me? While dealing with sexism and racism every single day, she gonna come in and be the new Hank Aaron. Okay, y'all don't hear me. All right, talk to him, Lil.
They can make it easy for her, that. She wasn't welcome. Players went out their way to, make her feel uncomfortable. Some refused to shake her hand. And others would slide hard into her, try to knock her down. And even some of her own teammates didn't always want her there. But she held on. She played with grit, skill, and pure love for the game.
Yeah, she wasn't alone because there was Mamie Peanut Johnson. Okay, she was a pitcher. Not she wasn't just any pitcher. She had that. She had. Hey, listen. She had a fastball, a wicked fastball. Sit you down. Okay, she about 5'3", and they underestimated her, of course, because when you small in stature, they do. But she proved them wrong every time she stepped on the mound. She also played for the Indianapolis Clowns, becoming one of only 3 women to ever play in the Negro Leagues.
That's wild. That's wild. She, like I said, she tried out for the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League. And, those were the ladies that were playing in that movie, League of Their Own. But they refused to let, black women play. And as great a pitcher as she was, she still had to go in the Negro League, but she dominated.
You think they were scared of the heat? They had heard about Mamie. Ain't no way them women hadn't heard about Mamie and was scared. They were like, no, don't let them come play. Don't let them come play. That just shows how deep the discrimination ran. Black women weren't allowed in the white women's leagues, and they barely got a chance in the men's league. It was a constant battle just to play the sport they love anywhere. They're like, nah, go play softball. I don't want to play softball. I want to play baseball. I know about softball. I want to play baseball. They ain't let them do that.
Mm-hmm. And that just shows you how deep the discrimination ran. You know, if you were, allowed into a woman's league, and women are supposed to be sticking together. You
Right,
know,
right.
the feminist movement is supposed to be inclusive of all women, but
Mm-hmm.
it's plain to see that that wasn't always the case when it came to black women.
Mm-hmm.
It was a constant battle, for them to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Then they had another player, uh, Isla Borders. She came
Okay.
later, but
Uh-huh.
she played in the men's minor leagues in the 1990s.
Okay.
While
Right
you
when
know, while
Augusta National was open in the
right
sheesh.
that she didn't. Negro leagues had pretty much faded by then, but she
Mm-hmm.
still faced the same struggle. People doubted her skills, and she still had to fight for every inning, just to be a part of the league.
But so okay, let's go on and get to the bigger issue. Why wasn't the black women given the same opportunities in baseball? A lot of, like I said, they say go to softball, not because they wanted to play it, but because they said baseball wasn't for them. But even today, right now, if a black girl shows an interest in baseball, chances are she's going to get steered to her softball instead. I can't. I don't
Yeah, like
understand it.
you remember that pitcher that won the World Series, young girl, Monique. Monique's last name, but this she got a
I know who
chance.
you're talking about. I can't think of her last name. I think
Yeah,
she
she
went on to
got a
play
chance
basketball
to.
and stuff too.
Yeah, she did. She she went on to play other sports. She had a chance to meet Mamie Peanut Johnson, and I was real happy about that. Um, she played for a team called the Monarchs. Uh, but I remember she was all on TV. She was in Sports
It
Illustrated. I
was
mean,
Monet Davis. Monet Davis.
Monet
That's her
Davis,
name.
that's her name. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that was fascinating. But it still comes down to a lack of financial and institutional support. You know, you don't have scholarships in major leagues invested in young black girls who want to play baseball, and there's always barely any representation in the media. So if you don't see somebody who looks like you playing, you really don't know that it's possible, to participate in such a sport. You know, so those
Yeah.
those three young ladies are in the Negro Baseball Hall of Fame. Uh, they've been memorialized,
Oh,
and
for sure. As they should be.
yeah, so
I
and
mean, and
this was in the 50s. This was in the 50s, the 40s. Right when you had a lot of, we were still under Jim Crow at that point, legalized
hmm
segregation. So,
right.
they caught it every day, but they were outstanding athletes.
I mean, yeah, they always found a way. Tony Stone, Mamie Johnson, and all the others that proved they belong. I mean, even when the world told them they didn't. And today we got groups like Baseball for All working to make sure girls, especially black girls, get the chance to play baseball without being forced into softball. It
Mm-hmm.
remind me of like black quarterbacks getting transitioned into wide receiver positions when they got to the NFL all those years ago. So let them
Oh
play
man,
baseball. Let them play
yeah.
baseball.
So long as you invested in the young players and demanding representation, you can make space for black women who love the game, just as much as anyone else. So I'm really hoping that they, eventually reestablish the, Negro League as a professional league. I think that would be a great contribution, to those who fought their way and went on to, play Major League Baseball. But to think you keeping a whole segment, population out of a sport, um, that that to me doesn't sound like a person is really competitive. But what you scared of?
I know that's right. What's up, Lawrence Jacobs? What's up? What's up, Jeffrey? Oh, you love baseball? I don't know if there's a women's baseball league. I would definitely check on that. Got us jumping and running and playing with the ball for their entertainment. Chris Jackson, Then you want to see NC State coach took a picture with a fan holding a plaque. Angel Reese stinks. Let me see how the media spins this. Really? Hmm. He
Mhm.
wasn't thinking. He headed out the door. Okay.
Oh, you
Well,
talking
all
about the
right, y'all.
Texas coach?
NC State coach Chris Jackson saying,
Oh, was it?
You
Oh,
seen you seen the Texas coach do it? I don't know. I
no,
haven't
I
seen it.
saw some remark was made. I was like, Angel Reese ain't in college no more. You know what you even talking
Yeah, why
about?
y'all still talking about her?
Yeah.
Yeah, we went deep into NASCAR, equestrian sports, golf, and baseball. And one thing is for sure clear: Black women in these sports have faced the same battles over and over again. So let's break it down and talk about the common themes we've seen across all four.
Well, one of the biggest ones was racial and gender bias. In every one of these sports, black women had to deal with being shut out, ignored, or straight up disrespected just for wanting to compete. Whether it was Tony Stone in baseball, or Cheryl White in horse racing, or even Mariah Stackhouse in golf, they all heard the same thing: "You don't belong here."
And I mean, even when they proven right that they belong, they still face, of course, all those extra hurdles. Like Brianna Daniels in NASCAR, she made history as the first Black woman on the pit crew. But that wasn't an easy road. It wasn't just about proving that she had the skills. It was about fighting through a system that wasn't built for her success.
Yeah, but that brings us to the second thing: financial and institutional barriers. Look, these aren't cheap sports. You want to be a pro golfer, you need coaching, travel money, tournament fees, expensive equipment. Equestrian sport, you gotta have access to horses, and we already talked about them prices and high level training facilities. And that's usually tied to generational wealth and privilege, which is something most of us don't have. And NASCAR, just getting a car and sponsorship could be $1 million situation. And how do you even get access to those that have money to sponsor? You know.
Oh, facts, 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 facts. And I mean, it's not just even the money; it's who control the money. Sponsors don't line up for Black women in sports the same way they do for white athletes. Even when they're breaking records and making history, they still struggle for funding. They still looking around like who wants to support, who wants to help.
Hmm. And part of this struggle is because the media representation or the lack of it, how we represent it in the media. They always look to capitalize on bringing out your struggles or anything you having problems with, anything that happens to you, even on a human level. They will pump that, pump that, pump that. As opposed to trying to look at the records you create and a competitor that you are. They overlook your story, they'll downplay your accomplishments, and in most cases they'll just flat out erase it. Just like they're attempting now to erase our history here in America. So these are
Hmm.
very diabolical things that are done to minimize, our contributions. It's really, bad business, so to speak.
Oh yeah, media exposure it has a direct effect on sponsorships, right, and opportunities. So if companies don't see you in the media, they think you don't have a fan base. And if
Mm-hmm.
they don't think you have a fan base, then they won't invest in you, which is probably a lot of the reasons why um a lot of these WNBA players didn't get the deals that they should have got, right? Because they think they don't have, especially these rookies that came in with followings. People don't even realize that they have the followings that they have. So it's a cycle that keeps Black women locked out.
Mm-hmm. But despite everything, stacked against them, black women keep pushing forward, and they have, a lasting theme of being persistent and being trailblazers. They know the odds are stacked against them. They still force their way into these spaces. They weren't just trying to participate; they were really trying to change the game.
Oh yeah, every single one of these women open doors for the next generation. Whether it's Tia Norfleet trying to break into NASCAR, Ann Gregory making golf history, Peanut Johnson proving she could pitch with the best of them. They set the stage for Black women to come through behind them.
Yep. So if there's one thing we could take away from all this in this discussion, black women in sports, they never gonna stop fighting. They're never gonna stop fighting for opportunity, respect, and visibility. And so every time they break through, it make it easier for the next one coming behind them. And therefore, it is essential that we give them that support.
Oh yeah. And that's why we're having this conversation. This is why we're doing these type of stories, because they deserve to be told. Their struggles are real, but so are their victories, right? And if history has shown us anything, it's that black women don't wait for permission. They just show up and change the game. And so we want to call that out. So we covered, y'all. Look, we talked about history, we talked about barriers, we talked about victories, but let's bring it all home. Why does this fight matter? Why should we still be talking about this today?
Because these women proved that talent, perseverance, and passion can break through racial and gender barriers. They weren't just playing for themselves; they were playing to open doors for the next generation. And let's be real, if they hadn't pushed through, the opportunities we're seeing today for black women in sports wouldn't even exist.
I mean, and even though we see some progress, right? Their struggles show that the work isn't over. Black women in these sports still face financial challenges that we talked about, like a sponsorship, media erasure, and that's why we have to keep advocating and investing and demanding institutional change, so that future generations don't have to fight these same battles.
Yep, and that it's up to us. It's up to you as the listener. This isn't just about history. It's about what we do next. We could play a role in supporting black women in all of these sports by amplifying their stories, encouraging young black girls, to participate in these sports and pushing for equity. Whether it's calling out bias, supporting black-owned sports program, or demanding more visibility, we have to keep applying the pressure.
Hey, because we is pressure. I see you. When my mom and pops was in college, the HBCUs was putting athletes in the pro sport in the late 50s, early 60s. Yeah, and I mean, still doing it some here, but not nearly as much as back in the day, especially
Mm-hmm.
in NFL. So a lot of Hall of Famers came out of HBCUs. Great call out. When are you going to transition from sports and entertainment to science and education? I'm not sure what you mean, Kenny. This pay. I'm not transitioning to a discussion on science and education, but there are some great black women that dominate in science and education as well. Uh, there's no power or respect in sports. Brown doesn't rule over intelligence and intellect. Sure it doesn't. Um, but it's a sports page. But I'm sure there are some great pages out there for you for science and education. Just not this one. But when we invest in black women in sports, we're not just celebrating history, we're creating the future. And so trust me, the next wave of black women athletes, they're coming. And they're ready to shake things up. We seen them coming. We seen it start last year with this rookie class that came in, and they came in like, we don't have to wait our turn. We already have a brand. We already have the beginning of our generational wealth starting. So they're coming. And this they're gonna, I think they're gonna shake things up just like the Trailblazers before them. Uh, and I mean, I think really kick the doors off the hinges right now, for where we can go in all sports, in all sports. But yeah, we wanted to come and have a dialogue about these four sports. Um, I love the work that I do in collaboration with BeWise PoliSports Podcast. Yeah, please don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, and share this episode with your friends and family. Remember, sports are never just about the game; it's about the stories we tell and the change we create. Together, y'all, we can amplify these important stories and spark meaningful change. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see y'all next time on Cess Talks Sports and the BeWise PoliSports Podcast as we continue our disruptive series honoring Black History Month and female athletes who are breaking barriers in history. We'll see y'all next time. Y'all stay tuned. Talk soon. We out.